Building a successful software development team by pro-coders. Shortage of software development talents is a major reason it is difficult for companies to build a software development team. Basically, the chances of your new hire not nearly perfectly fitting the job role is high. So many just settle for who they get, however it does not have to be so. There are ways to assemble an effective software development team for your project. This article is a comprehensive guide to making the best use of the software development talent pool. It covers such aspects as the important factors to consider before assembling the team, possible challenges companies face when building a software development team, a detailed roadmap, as well as post-hiring advice on how to motivate members and particularly how to manage an offshore model. Key factors to consider when building a software development team. Industry knowledge. When you create software, you are doing it for people. Therefore, members responsible for building the software must understand the nuances of the industry. Portfolios and lists of past projects provide insights into this. Hiring developers with industry knowledge is critical to successfully building usable software. Passion. Before building a software development team, try to find out what is each member passionate about. A person's passion informs their attitude to work, relationship with their colleagues, willingness to learn, etc. Passionate people are willing to take up challenging responsibilities that empower them to build innovative solutions. Scope of the project. The project scope covers the direction and the dimension of the project. Every decision concerning budget, staffing, infrastructure, etc. depends on the clarity and accuracy of the scope. Perhaps the most important question in how to start a software development team is, when does this project become done? Then every other factor must be geared towards the fulfillment of that answer, which is essentially the goal of the project. Identify risk factors. Even if the entire project does not result in a failure, and the hopes are that it doesn't, certain aspects of the project might go wrong. In building a successful software development team, conduct an assessment to identify risk factors and establish protocols to deal with issues as they arise. Doing this lays a solid foundation to build upon. How to build a good software development team. Challenges you might face. Limited infrastructural resources. Software development is resource-consuming. The lack of necessary infrastructure is a challenge mostly faced by startups and even sometimes by established business sites. Also, one reason businesses may choose to outsource their software development project to an outsourcing agency, so that they can take advantage of the vendor's resources. High competition. The IT sector is a highly fast-paced environment with different innovations constantly being introduced. In a bid to outgun the competitors and reduce time to market, a company might place unnecessary pressure on its software development team. High salary demands. Notwithstanding how coding has become so popular today, there are still scarce software development talents to close all the job openings available. So companies concerned about building a successful software development team have to at least offer an attractive payment package. This is particularly true in the US with its high cost of living. How to start a software development team. A trusted roadmap. Team type, generalists. The members of this type of team possess a wide range of skills across different aspects of software development. They can handle a project in any area as far it does not require in-depth specialist knowledge. A generalist model is useful for routine development tasks. Specialists. Specialists have a very narrow focus, but they are highly knowledgeable in that one area. Use them for projects requiring very technical expertise. Note: thought hat teams of specialists are susceptible to communication problems even though dependence is high. Hybrid team. Hybrid teams try to provide the best of both, generalist and specialist, worlds by harnessing the strengths of each for effective cooperation. Many companies today use the hybrid model in how to build a software development team. Team size. The smaller the group, better. Small groups are easier to manage and are more efficient per capita. However, don't hire a small team just for its sake. Even if you end up with a large group, you should consider splitting them up into smaller subunits. Offshoring and how to build a good software development team overseas. Establish a system for regular effective interaction. The strides recorded in technology have made distance less of a challenge when it comes to communication and how to build a software development team. Therefore, what makes communication effective is less about the tool used than about the management of the medium. Create open channels for regular interaction to make sure everyone is alert to their responsibilities at every point in time. Have a resolution policy at hand before setting out on the project. How do you want to handle conflicts of personalities or of responsibilities? How do you inspire action from that one member who always seems to drag the rest of the project behind? From the outset of the project, you should have established priority levels for various categories of issues, escalation protocols, as well as resolution assignments. This helps to reduce the friction in the process and keeps people focused on the work at hand. Encourage innovation by empowering your hires to be creative. There is an artistic side to software development that project managers need to acknowledge developers, and in fact every other professional who is not bound to strict routine duties, thrive in an enterprising environment. This means providing hires with tools that help them to channel their creativity and get the proverbial juices flowing. In fact helps the developers to better cope with the upbeat landscape of the technology sector and adapt to changes adeptly. How to make a software development team burst with energy. Reward members. Every software development project is draining in some way. Celebrating the little victories accumulated along the way helps keep the group moving. It boosts individual morale and lifts the team's spirit. These rewards don't need to be elaborate. What matters is how to make a software development team's members genuinely feel that their work is valid and they are contributing to something great. Encourage collaboration. Isolation might be great for short bursts of focused work, however for long projects individual energies run out at some point and motivation must be drawn from others. Therefore enabling a culture of collaboration and transparent interaction helps team members to gain inspiration from their colleagues. Schedule bonding activities. Work hours should not be strictly and entirely development focused. They should also include how to make the development team bond tighter at times. Block out time for pastimes that ensure this. Such activities may feature common Gamesa creative, free-for-all, day group workout sessions, volunteering, breakfast, lunch, dinner outing, etc. When members feel close to each other they are collectively more productive. Building a software development team is a continuous process that doesn't simply end up with assembling developers. Our advice about how to start a software development team. Trust your team members. Build a software development team of people you trust so that you won't have to micromanage them. Micromanaging people stifles their creativity and reduces their productivity. It may also fuel resentment. You need to hire people that are reliable so that you can give them the freedom to innovate. Once you have a clear vision and expectation for the project, allow the developers the creative license to come up with ingenious solutions. Choose outsourcing. One of the most common questions regarding how to build a software development team is whether to use in-house workers or to outsource the project. First note that EITH has its advantages as well as disadvantages. However, outsourcing is a more cost-effective option. This is not only in terms of workers' salaries and benefits alone but also in terms of recruitment, onboarding, infrastructure, etc. Conclusion. Building a software development team that is solid is the beginning of every successful project. Therefore, you need to invest more effort into assembling a team of brilliant minds to create the best software. Subscribe our channel and read more about building a successful software development team at Procoders blog.